What is up, everyone? Welcome to another video. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to tattoo myself. I'm going to be teaching you the best and easiest way to tattoo yourself, also so it is in a clean environment. This is important. Even though it is just on yourself, you want to make sure that everything is sterile. You are wearing gloves. Make sure you are setting up exactly like you would for tattooing another person. So this is the design I'm going to do. Years ago I started Lord of the Rings tattoo on my thigh, so I'm just going to do a little finger with the ring just to put beside it because it's funny and I'm a nerd. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's get into when is it time to tattoo yourself. If you've been practicing on fake skins and have figured out that you're doing everything proficient, you could do your line work, your shading, and your color, that's the time that you could jump into actually tattooing on human skin. So making sure that you practice on yourself first. You want to make sure you're tattooing in an area that is easily accessible. You don't want to tattoo your arm, your hand, your fingers. All of these places are not good areas to tattoo, even if it is on a client. So don't start out on those areas. Tattoo your thigh. Make sure it is on the top of your thigh. You don't want to have to try to move around and get in crazy positions to tattoo, especially if you're just starting out with human skin. You want the easiest place physically possible to tattoo, so this will help you out as much as possible. Another thing would be make sure you're doing a small design. I recommend traditional just because if you end up messing it up, it's easy to fix eventually in life. You could cover it up if need be if you're sticking with small stuff. So that would be the best advice for trying to find a good design. And let's get into the actual video of me tattooing, and hopefully I don't cry. Okay, a couple things you want to think about when you are tattooing yourself. The first will be you want to make sure that you're doing it in an area that's easily accessible. The biggest problem is trying to do it on the side of the leg or the inside of the leg. You're not going to have the right angle for your tattoo machine. Obviously I've tattooed myself before, so I'm kind of limited on where I can do it, so I'm going to do one right here. We're going to see, but the first step to tattooing yourself is making sure you're wearing gloves. Even if it is on yourself, there's bacteria and everything that could form underneath your nails, so you want to make sure anytime you're tattooing, even if it's yourself, you are using gloves. So we're getting the area shaved up so we can put the stencil down. Awesome. So anytime you're putting the stencil on, do not do it when you're sitting down. Everything distorts when you're sitting down. When you stand up, it distorts a different way. So always want to have your stencil be laid on when you're standing up. That goes for when you're working on clients and anything like that. So always be standing up when you are doing this. Okay, so I put on two different designs to show you. One place is too far over. It would be a really hard area to tattoo, and then one would be the perfect place to tattoo. So this one would be the one that we're doing. This one is the one that's too far on the side. You're going to have a really hard time trying to get the angles you need to tattoo it correctly. So you want to make sure that you are tattooing in an area that's easily accessible, which would be this one. So I would not recommend trying to tattoo this far over. It's just going to cause complications with you tattooing, and it's just going to be really, really hard to do. So I definitely recommend sticking to this top area. Okay, while this is drying, I want to point out that there are a couple things you want to think about when you're tattooing yourself. One thing is you want to really focus on your needle depth. This is really important because when you're going through pain, like tattooing yourself, it could be really hard to try to have all of the fundamentals, do them correctly, because you're putting yourself through pain, you're dealing with that, you're also, dealing with trying to figure out your hand speed, all of these things. So just make sure you're going the correct depth. Sometimes if you go through pain, you don't want to go as deep as you should, or sometimes, you go too deep because you're just trying to get through it and you're just rushing. So another thing would be focus on a smaller tattoo when you're first starting out. Something this big would be perfect, just so you can get a feel for it and kind of get used to tattooing yourself, because it is for sure a different demon. I'm really nervous about tattooing myself on video, but we're going to get through it. All right, so I'm getting my machine set up. Today I'm going to be using an 11 round liner and an 11 curved mag. Before starting, I'm checking my needle depth. I like to hang my needle out a little bit more, so checking that. Okay, so now that we've waited 15 minutes, we are all ready to go. So we're gonna actually start tattooing. Like I said, focusing on your needle depth, all of these things will help out a ton whenever you're tattooing on yourself or, tattooing on a client. So the reason you tattoo yourself is, you practice on fake skins, get really comfortable with doing all these things, and you practice on yourself. just because it's kind of a rite of passage, but also you could understand, everything you're doing, making sure you're doing it correctly, and feel the pain associated with tattooing, which is a good thing to know. So now that we're tattooing yourself, making sure that you could stretch out the skin. That's why, we do it in an area that's easily accessible so we can do these things. And we're going to start out the first line, which you always want to work from the bottom. So starting down here. Ouch. And whenever you are tattooing yourself, it is normal for you to be shaky because of the pain, and it's kind of like your body telling you, what are you doing to yourself? So don't be alarmed with that. Yeah, and it hurts for sure. It's been a very long time since I tattooed myself, and I'm not necessarily enjoying it. Really glad this is focused on my actual leg and not my face. Yeah, see, even with this, it could be kind of hard to tattoo this area just because, depending on the style of tattoo that you're doing, I like to be pretty close to it whenever I'm tattooing, to be able to get the angles I need and to be able to see my needle. And tattooing this far away, it could actually be pretty hard to kind of tell where your needle is, and to pay attention exactly where your needle's going into the skin, just because you're kind of so far away. And it's impossible to kind of bend over enough to get down. So tattooing yourself could definitely be hard, but if you do it the correct way and kind of wait to try to tattoo yourself until you tattooed on fake skins, you can, be able to efficiently tattoo yourself. But I definitely recommend going through all the practice on fake skins first before jumping into actual human flesh. I'm also really happy that I went with a really small design because this is not very fun at all. I'm trying not to cry. No, I'm just joking. All right, and there is the line work. So now we're gonna get set up for our shading. Checking our needle depth with it before getting started. First, I'm just starting out with my straight black and doing all my shade work that I need to with it, and then I'll go on to my actual grays. So the shading part's actually easier than it is to line on yourself, just because, you know, the mags are obviously bigger. You can kind of see where the needle is. The liner, you know, it's so small that it's really kind of hard to tell where the needles are. So using the mag's definitely easier to tattoo yourself than it is a liner. That's why I said to focus on, you know, more simple designs when you're first starting out, and then you could jump onto more detailed designs as you get better and more comfortable. Okay, we'll jump on to our 6 drops of black. Okay, now that our shading is done, we're going to jump onto the color. What we're going to do is just do the red and the blood drops, and we're going to shade in the ring yellow, or colored in yellow. Another key point would be make sure you're eating before tattooing yourself. You know, follow all the rules you would with actual clients, because, you know, if your blood sugar drops, it could cause problems with you getting lightheaded. And with you tattooing yourself, you know, it would obviously cause a lot of issues if you just passed out and you had a tattoo machine in your hand, so. Alrighty, ready to clean it real good. And that is the final product. So you want to work on making sure you have clean line work when you're tattooing yourself, being able to stretch the skin correctly, getting used to using your actual machine and holding it on actual skin. So those are the key points you want to try to focus on whenever you are tattooing yourself, staying away from, tattooing your hands, your fingers. All of these areas can be super hard to tattoo, and you want to make sure that you're learning with every tattoo. So tattooing on yourself, you don't want to have a ton of different tattoos on you that don't look good, because I started out, this is the first one I did on myself, and then I covered it up or blasted over it with this one because this one looked absolutely terrible. So you don't want a ton of really bad stuff on you throughout your career. So practice at a pace to where you could get better, but also just not putting a ton of different stuff on yourself, like tattooing yourself every other day. So yeah, this is a great way for sure to learn and practice without tattooing clients and messing up clients. So this is definitely one way to help out, as long as you are doing it sanitarily and correctly. So awesome. I hope this was able to help you out, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.